So we just heard some amazing, amazing success stories. But what about you? What is it going to take? Do you ever wonder why it is that no matter what it is that you learn, because you spent the last 3 days in intense learning, maybe know as you go out there Monday how hard you try or how diligently you follow the plans that have been given you over the last 3 days, that you still struggle to become successful. And even if you do get a little success, you struggle to sustain it long term. Do you ever feel that way? So, even if you are successful, some of those people that even came across this stage, but you know that there's a greater potential inside you. You know that this is just the tip of the iceberg of what is possible and what you are capable of, but you continue to sort of hit the ceiling of your potential and you can't seem to break through. If any of that is true for you, then this session might be the most important session you've ever attended. This might be where finally the floodgates open up and what's released is your greater inner potential to become the person you were always capable of becoming. So I want to start this presentation about the belief system of success and the impact that that has on your life and your results with a little story. And this is a true story about a young girl. And for some of you, this story will sound familiar because it is maybe much like your own story. This little girl here was raised in Artesia, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, but far removed from the glitz and glamour of Hollywood. Her parents were immigrants. They had, first generation, came to this country. They couldn't speak a word of English, and they had very little money in their pocket. But eventually, they saved enough money, and they bought a little 1,100 square foot home, the best 1,100 square feet that a grocery store butcher could afford. And between the walls of those 1,100 square feet, they raised 7 children. 7. All under the roof of 1,100 square feet. So needless to say, this little girl did not grow up in luxury. Now, she was the 5th child in a line of 7. Now, it doesn't take a birth order specialist to know that 5th from the beginning and 3rd from last is an easy place to get lost in a family. All her clothes were hand-me-downs. She never had new clothing, and very few did she actually like. Now, while her older siblings' successes were always celebrated, by the time she accomplished the same feats, they were just simply expected. And while she always felt loved, she never felt special. And most of the time, she just felt awkward. Her mixed Latin heritage meant that she had long, unmanageable, wild hair. And she had olive skin. Now, as adults, we might describe that as exotic. But when you're 7, there's no such thing as exotic. There's only different, and different is never good. Our story takes place on a Tuesday afternoon when this little girl is walking home from school. It's another day of 1st grade behind her. She's wearing a blue dress, a hand-me-down from her sister, one that she actually likes because it has a little lace around the sleeves and a little lace lining the bottom of the dress. On this Tuesday afternoon, when other mothers are picking up their children, she's walking home. She doesn't get but a block away from the school when she can sense that something is wrong. She hears the sounds of somebody chasing her. It is 2 boys that are sneaking up behind her. Their sneakers are shuffling on the ground, their backpacks are shifting on their back as they quicken their pace to try to catch her. Her 7-year-old heart begins to race. She's breathless with fear. She looks to her right, she looks to her left, looking for an escape route. Before she can find one, she feels the hand of one of the boys on her shoulder. He whips her around to face him. She knows his name. It's Matthew. Matthew sits next to her in class. But she's never been this close. So close that she can count the freckles on his nose. And for a moment, they just stare at each other. But only for a moment, because in the next instant, they attack. They pull her hair, they kick dirt on her shoes, they throw her backpack to the ground, they kick her shins, they pinch her arms. Through her screams, they can hear them saying, "Nobody likes you, everybody hates you, you're weird." She tries to hit back to defend herself, but she can't. "Everybody hates you, nobody likes you, you're weird." Finally, they throw her to the ground and run off. She lays there silent, stunned, terrified. When she finally catches her breath, she assesses the damage. The strap in her backpack had been broken, her knees were bloodied, her shins were bruised, and the lace on her favorite dress was torn. Beyond the physical trauma of that experience, on that Tuesday afternoon, walk home from school, something far worse had happened. Because when the bruises were healed and the scabs went away, she could not erase the echoes of those boys' voices in her head. Nobody likes you. Everybody hates you. You're weird. And then there was that whisper in her mind for all the years that would follow. Maybe nobody does like me. Maybe I am not worthy. Maybe I'm not good enough. That day on that sidewalk, a belief was planted. And for the rest of those years forward, she would be haunted with that belief. She picked herself up, walked the rest of the way home. When she got home, she walked through the kitchen door and disappeared in a sea of siblings, never to tell anybody about it. How is it that our beliefs are shaped? Because once we do have these beliefs, they shape our destiny. Our beliefs end up becoming the entire way that we experience the world. How we feel, what we see, what we hear. The beliefs that we were installed with end up being how we experience the entire world. Right now, you are all having very different experiences in this world, in this room. Based on the belief systems that you've got, you are seeing, feeling, hearing, and experiencing the world completely different, solely based on your beliefs. Your ability to accomplish, your ability to follow through, your ability to talk to other people, your ability to relate with other people is based entirely on the belief systems that you've been installed with. So if you learn how to change your beliefs, you can change your life. You can change the results you can accomplish. You can finally break through some of those limiting belief factors that have been holding you back, maybe without you even knowing. So how is it that these beliefs are formed to begin with? Because when we are all born as a baby, we have no beliefs. We are a blank slate. We do not believe anything. But based on where this baby is dropped, in the Middle East, in the United States, in a rich neighborhood, in a poor neighborhood, with parents that are positive-minded or parents that are fear-minded, all of a sudden, this baby will get a belief system installed based entirely on where that baby is born. I interviewed Deepak Chopra this past week, and he said by the time a child is 3 or 4 years of age, the neurosignature of that child matches the neurosignature of the adults that have influenced that child to that point. And essentially, from that point forward, that child will have that neurosignature for the rest of their lives. The belief system has been downloaded. It's like taking a software program and downloading it onto a hard drive. It's now installed. And the behavior, the choices, the philosophy, the views, the perspectives, the philosophies from that point will always be viewed from the prism of that belief system from that point forward. Our beliefs are influenced certainly by our parents. Not necessarily by the things that they say, although sometimes that does have an indelible impact, both positive and certainly negative, but mostly by what it is that we view and watch and observe about our parents. We are trying to figure out ourselves based in comparison and contrast to the most influential people on the planet, our parents. Our parents are our deity. They are God-like because they have the ability to basically shape our entire being when we have that blank slate. We are also influenced by other adults around you. Could be just people that you meet in the neighborhood. It could be people at school. It could be people at church. It could be people at the playground. These adults are installing software on your belief system. Certainly your peers. One of the most powerful and impactful influences in your life will be the peers around you, certainly at the young age. The sports you got involved with, the people that you hung out with, the places that you went were all influenced by your peers. And then all the experiences that happen within those environments were installed on your belief systems. And then certainly what you were taught. You didn't get a chance to vote on it. You were just taught based on the belief systems of the people who were teaching you. See, as a child, it's actually a survival mechanism. Acceptance is not a choice. It's a mechanism of survival in order to connect and stay safe with the adults that are protecting you at that point. Your name, your language, where you live, the school that you go to, and what you were to believe were decided for you. You did not make a conscious choice about any of them. And then also what you observe as you travel, particularly as a young person, and you start seeing what other people are doing, what other people are believing, what they're saying about what thing or what person is all being installed in your belief system. So the story continues. This little girl grows up. She's now in the 10th grade. She's sitting in the cafeteria. It's lunchtime. She's sitting with a couple of friends. And then she can feel the unmistakable presence of somebody who had slid into a chair behind her. She turns around and she's face to face with Matthew, the boy from the sidewalk, the boy who had no idea the impact he's had on her life, the boy whose voice she could not get out of her head all of these years she's now face to face with. She is now face to face with, come to find out, the boy who's always had a crush on her. He hands her a folded piece of paper. And on that folded piece of paper, after he scurries off, is written, "Do you like me?" with a checkbox for yes and a checkbox for no. Please pick one. Later that week, they're walking home from school together. It's a fall afternoon. As they're walking, Matthew stops short. He's now inches from her face, so close that she can count the freckles on his nose. For a moment, they just stare at her, but in the next instant, he kisses her. In that moment, she wonders. The belief that she's carried all these years, the belief that held her back, the belief that kept her quiet, the belief that made her shy, the belief that no one liked her, the belief that she wasn't worthy, maybe was all untrue, because the boy that first kicked her is now her first kiss. These beliefs shaped your world and everything around it. When you look at this man, the president of Iran, because we are in the Western world, you have certain feelings and emotions about this person by just the very sight of them. The thing that's important to understand is that he was elected to office with a 62% popularity rate in 2005 and then again in 2009. Meaning there are people in the millions who believe very differently about this man than you do. Just something to think about. Here's another one. Hugo Chavez was elected to office with a 56% popularity rate. Time magazine nominated him one of the top 100 most influential people in the world in 2005 and 2006. Here in the West, we have a different view of this person. Now, what do you think about this person? Probably some things different this day, but this man was elected to office with a 52.9% popularity rate, raised more money in small denominations than any president in the United States. The people in the West have a very different view of this person. And the only thing that decides the difference between your opinion and their opinion is where the two of you were born and the belief systems that you were given that have shaped the views that you have about these people. Let me give you another example. Depending on where it is that you were born, you have different, passionate, vigilantly decisive opinions different between what these two flags indicate. Here's another example. Particularly going into an election year, each of these two symbols means something very different to everybody in this audience. And mostly, your decision has been based on belief systems that were installed before you had a conscious ability to make a decision about it. And they've evolved over time, certainly. Here's another example. This image evokes a response in you. You have a belief about whether this is right or not. And I know when I visited Malaysia and I saw this, I had a real difficult emotional response to this. And it was like, where's this coming from? I've never seen this, because everybody else seems to be just okay with it. But I had a very passionate response to that. It was very difficult for me to see this. Well, there are people in other parts of the world where this image is equally difficult. And the only difference is the belief system that you have about that, and that belief system is probably given to you, not voted on. Right here we have a whole smattering of prophets, gods or deities. And we think, whatever we believe in, everybody should believe in, and that's all that everybody believes in. But what's interesting to know, just statistically, just by the numbers, that Hindu, there are 940 million. 13 million Mormons, 14 million Jews who believe, Moses the prophet. The Buddha, 376 million people. The Christ, 2 billion. Muhammad, 1.5 billion. Yeah, there's a clap over here. I trust we go somewhere else, there's going to be a clap for the Muhammad. It's different belief systems. It's all good. I'm not saying one is better or one is right or one is wrong. That's not it. The whole point is, where did I get these belief systems? What influenced these? And maybe recognizing some other people have some belief systems, and maybe those are just as good or just as valid for them, for whatever their purpose is. And there's a billion people who said, I'm not buying into any one of these teams, and they're atheists. What is this symbol? What is this a symbol for? This symbol has impassioned more people to evangelize, to be born again, to make a positive difference in people's lives. This symbol has also created more wars and more bloodshed than any other symbol in the world. However, this symbol, for a millennia before Christ, was the symbol for the god of Thor. This was the symbol of his hammer. For centuries before Christ, this was on a Celtic coin before Christ was even born. Do you know when this became the symbol of Christ? 4 centuries after his death, when the Constantine emperor finally decided that Christianity can be tolerated. This is the symbol that they took on. But this symbol has people fanatical about an opinion, a belief system, when we have given it its meaning. What does this symbol mean? For a lot of people, this means the Antichrist. This is a satanic symbol. But do you know how this symbol came about? St. Peter, who was martyred and who was crucified upside down. This was the symbol that was used to honor St. Peter. How about this symbol? It's a Greek Orthodox cross. It's on their flag. But if you paint it red, it means something totally different, an American Red Cross. And there's so much passion and energy behind each of these symbols that we've given the belief meaning of. How about this symbol here? This symbol means 2 things. One, in Pennsylvania, it is the coat of arms for one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in all of Pennsylvania, twice the median income of any household in America. It also is a Hungarian Nazi party symbol. How about this one? This is one of the most religious symbols for Ireland and for the Celtic tradition. But it's also the symbol that's used for neo-fascists. It's also the symbol that the Zodiac killer left behind when he committed murder. I'm just trying to give you a sense that the beliefs we have about these symbols are made up. We've given it definition. We've given it meaning. I'm telling you, the beliefs that you have about your potential, the beliefs of what you can and can't do, what you're good at and not good at, are made up. You have given it its definition. These different professions, based on your parents and what the ideal was for you, determines on what profession was the top of the food chain for you. It could have been a doctor or a lawyer, could have been an athlete, could have been an entertainer, could have been an engineer. Completely and entirely dependent upon who raised you and where you were raised. This is what Voltaire has to say. Every man is the creature of the age in which he lives. Very few are able to raise themselves above the ideas of the times. And I want to challenge you to raise yourself above the ideas of your parents, your community, your society, and whatever little voice has been planted inside your head that's keeping you back. Your installed beliefs are your visual prism. They literally are like walking around the world with 3D glasses, and everything you see around you is reinterpreted entirely different based on your visual prism. You go through the world with this prism in front of everything around you, every experience, and everything is filtered through that prism. And so here's the world that is without your prism. All of a sudden, based on whatever belief system you were given, the world can be this thing that is very ugly, very difficult, very hard, lots of struggle, lots of suffering. Your belief prism could make the same world be hostile, violent, dangerous, fearful. Your belief prism can make the same world be happy, wonderful, beautiful, abundant. And the only difference is not the world, it's the belief prism that you have looking at the world. I'll give you an example. Here's a dog, German Shepherd. Two people could look at the same dog and see two totally different things. One person could look at this big, strong dog and see this. Danger, terror, fright, based on an experience of the past or a story that was told to them about a dog. They will see that. Somebody else could look at the same dog and see this. Love, protection, joy. Key point here. Same dog. Two totally different interpretations at the same object. Have you ever wondered why you have irrational doubts? That you have these fears? You have these inhibitions to harmless activities? How can you possibly be afraid of picking up the phone and calling somebody? That is not life-threatening. How can you possibly be afraid of standing up here? You guys are not throwing daggers. You're not even throwing food at me. If anything, you're throwing me love. How could this be scary or difficult? But we have these irrational fears that we've made up. Let me tell you how this happens. I call it the cave syndrome. You walk past the cave, and sometime in the past, you walk by and out came the head of a cougar. And your immediate response was to run like hell. It's a survival mechanism. That's what we go through life, is we end up collecting these experiences that say, danger, run. Now, here's what happens most of the time. You've never even seen a cave. But your ancestors have passed down this story that these caves are very, very dangerous. And if you see one, run like hell, because this is how you will be able to survive. So what ends up happening is you end up collecting these cave syndromes. And then you start comparing and examining everything against one danger. Okay, that's like this is dangerous. That's like this is dangerous. That's like this is dangerous. And it becomes all these different cave experiences. So now, when you take a look at very innocuous, very unthreatening circumstances you've associated because one time somebody rejected you, one time somebody made you feel bad when you talk to them, or when you're on the phone, or when you ask somebody for something, now all of a sudden you're deathly afraid to call people. You're afraid to meet somebody new. You're afraid to stand in front of a small group of people. You're afraid to stand in front of a group of people. You're afraid to go to a networking event and introduce yourself to somebody. You're afraid to talk to somebody in the elevator and tell them about your great opportunity. Why are you afraid of something so not threatening? Cave syndrome. You have these stories, these legends that have been built up in your head, and you've connected all these neurosignatures that all these things are dangerous, and it's holding you back. And intelligence doesn't matter. Have you ever met somebody who's brilliant? They got a doctorate, they're amazingly intelligent, and then you start to listen to some of their beliefs, and you're like, what? How can somebody so smart believe something so ridiculous? I meet people all the time. Here's the key point. Intelligence has nothing to do with belief. Some of the most intelligent people in the world have some of the most whacked out belief systems you'll ever hear. Because it's not an interpretation of intelligence. It's an interpretation of the belief systems that were installed long ago, and then the caves have been stacking up on top of that. Now, your beliefs end up becoming your identity. You end up wearing a mask of the things that you have determined make up who you are. And that mask can either be, I am worthless, I am incompetent, I am powerless, I'm dependent, I am victimized, I'm suspicious, or it could be, I am worthy, I am competent, I am powerful, I am loved, I am trusting, I am accountable, based only on your belief systems. Once these beliefs are installed, you can only see the world through this prism. Let me give you an example. I want you to pay attention. I'm going to show you a video, and it's going to test your ability to pay attention. For some of you who have already sort of seen this, just keep quiet, let everybody else experience it. Don't tell them the number of times that this actually happens. I just want to show you this as an example.
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Go!
This happens to you all day, every day. Opportunities in front of you all the time, and you miss it. Why? Because your belief prism is not looking for what's right. It's looking for what's wrong. It's focused in a totally, entirely different direction. I'll give you another example. Take this crowd here. I want you to look for as many yellow shirts and hats as possible. As many yellow shirts and hats as possible. As fast as you can. How many can you find? Just look for what's the yellow hats, the yellow shirts. How many do you see? Now, let me show you. This is what life is like. We're surrounded with billions of sensory input all the time. And our brain is basically shutting out most of it. And it's only seeing what it is that we're paying attention to. But inside this crowd, when we saw the yellow, 13 images of yellow, also inside this crowd was sitting Mr. Greg Provenzano. Because you were looking for yellow, you might have missed Greg Provenzano. You might have missed ACN. And there are going to be a lot of people in life that you're going to talk to about ACN. And you're going to be talking to them about the opportunity, but they're going to be seeing and looking for yellow, and they're going to miss seeing Greg Provenzano. Also inside this crowd, you'll notice, is Mike and Tony. Sitting there right before your eyes. But if you weren't looking for them, you would have missed them entirely. Also in there is Robert. He's the one with the glasses over here in the end. I got it off of one of his poker playing pictures. He's in there as well. Here's how this works. Important that you understand that this is a reality. I'm not making this up. There's a reticular activating system inside the base of your brain. It's a group of small cells. And the job of those small cells is to filter and sift through all of the sensory input that you're getting on a regular basis. And all it does is it looks for things to match up with what it is that you already believe, what it is that you already know. It's looking to validate what it is that you already know or what it is that you're looking for. And so that's how you weeded out Greg Provenzano. You weeded out Mike and Tony, and you just looked for and you just saw what was yellow. That's why you were watching the bouncing ball, but you missed the moonwalking bear, because your reticular activating system focused you in that direction. So everything you hear, everything you see, and everything you smell is being filtered through this reticular activating system. If not, you would go nuts. All the sensory input, you would explode. Your nervous system could not handle it. So its job is to filter and vet. But what's happening is it's filter and vetting out what's right, what's positive, what's possible that's outside of your existing belief system. Have you ever been in a noisy airport and then all of a sudden somebody says your name and you're like, there could be all sorts of crazy noise, but then all of a sudden somebody says your name and you hear it. That's your reticular activating system. It matches what it is that you already know or what it is that you already believe. Another example, have you ever gone and bought a new car and you wanted to buy something really unique? Something that not a lot of people had. And after you bought the car, you're driving on the highway and you realize, holy crap, all these people bought the same car. The reality is they had already existed there, but you didn't actually see them because you weren't looking for them. Now all of a sudden your reticular activating system is activated about that particular car and you see it everywhere. Your prism becomes your prison. And this is what holds back opportunity. This is what keeps back love. This is what keeps back intimacy. This is what keeps back happiness. And this is what keeps you back from being able to break through and become a leader. These limiting beliefs fall into three main categories. And as I go through these, I want you to sort of recognize where you might fall into this, because I want to have you recognize where you're at so that we can break those bars of prison limiting beliefs that are holding you back so that you could break through and finally become the person you're capable of becoming. Here's one, hopelessness. It's a harsh word, but most of us have some level, some sense of hopelessness. It won't happen for me. Oh, sure, these circle of champions, they're special, they're unique. They can do it, but it won't happen for me. There's no use even trying. This is for other people, not me. They can do it, but I don't think I really can. That's hopelessness. Helplessness. I don't have the ability to do that. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at speaking in front of people. I'm not good at sales. I'm not good at persuading and convincing other people to follow me. I'm too weak. I'm too afraid. And then the third is, and this is the biggie, this is where at some point somebody, when you were a child, broke your heart. And you got a sense somewhere, somehow, of worthlessness. I don't deserve it. I'm not good enough. They won't like me. The consequences of these limiting beliefs show up in your life as results in these ways. Difficulty in relationships, marriage, sex, intimacy, friendships, and children. Shows up in work, your confidence, or your doubt, and your abilities that affect the future. Your belief that you could do this, your belief that you are capable. Shows up in play, whether it's okay for you to seek adventure, to have fun. Your ability to let go and have fun and experience joy is held back by your belief prism. Your ability to take risks, pursue self-fulfillment. All these things are invented layers keeping you back. Health. What you believe controls your entire body. Your belief system will kill you. Unquestionably, if you have an unhealthy, fearful belief system, eventually it will break down your immune system, it will kill you. It will keep you fat, it will keep you unhealthy, it'll put you in cardiac arrest danger, all dictated by your belief system. The truth is this. The truth of the belief that I am not is a lie. Before we ever agreed to believe I am not, it was somebody else's opinion. And that opinion was bullshit. I see a lot of you taking photos of the screens over, just to make this easy for you if you want a copy of all these slides, so you can just sit there and listen and take it in and see what part of this is true for you. You get the entire slide deck sent to you. So all you have to do is text Instead of a phone number, you just text 58885, and in the body of the email, you just put belief, your name, your actual name, your email address, and it will email you a copy of the entire slide deck. Is that helpful? Good. So your limiting beliefs continually and perpetually are reinforced. Once these belief systems are installed as a small child, we go through the entire world just reinforcing the belief systems we've already got. We interpret information that comes to our senses, and then we mold it to fit the way that we want the world to be, and not necessarily how it really is. It's a process called belief confirmation. And this is the reason why you can give a convincing argument to somebody, intellectually destroy their ideas and opinions, and they still will not hear it, because they only actually take in what matches the belief they've already got. Let me give you an example. This is how it's reinforced. This is how the reticular activating system is looking at the world and matching up with what it already believes. Seeking what it is that you're looking for. You're looking for that which reinforces, and sometimes that which reinforces is your own self-talk. I don't know, I don't think this is for me, I don't think I can do it, I don't think I'm capable, and you're looking at references. Oh, see, that person couldn't do it. See, that person, see, I knew that this was no good. All they're doing is looking for validation to their existing belief system, and that's all they can see. Filtering. This is what's called a confirmatory bias. We ignore data that contradicts. So if you're a Republican, you're ignoring all the data that's positive about the Democrat. You're not even hearing it. It's not even connecting. If you're a Democrat, same thing. If you're from the West or you're from the East, you're only looking to validate what you already believe. You are not interested in believing anything different than you already believe. That is true of your belief about your potential, true about your belief in your ability to succeed. Recalling. This is what's called hindsight bias. You actually go back through the script of your life and start matching up with things in your past that confirm and validate your beliefs. Even if it's misinterpreted, distorted, and skewed, you will go back and match your history with your current belief system. And then there's this thing that's called grooving. Psychological ruts are created inside the mind. Actual, inside your gray matter, ruts are created. And when you are stressed, when you are challenged, when you are rejected, whatever the stress is, you will go right back to your previous installed belief systems. Even if you've layered on the international convention enthusiasm, the leadership training, all the ACN ideas and information, when you are stressed, rejected, not feeling good, tired, you will go right back to that existing belief system. This is the reason why alcoholics who become sober, they can go for 6 months, 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden they get in a circumstance, a life situation that creates stress, and they go right back to their previous coping mechanism, their previous belief system. Same thing is true in success. And then this becomes your identity. The longer that you've held on to these belief systems, the more publicly you have declared this is what you believe. You have built and dug deeper root systems into your psyche, and you're less likely to give it up based on how long that you've held these beliefs to be true for you. It becomes your identity. And I'm telling you that as a warning for some of you, some of your beliefs that are holding you back, that are limiting, that were installed without your consent, have been growing for a long time, and it's going to be difficult, but you can extract them. I'll show you how to extract them. But I just want to tell you that it might be difficult. It will take effort. You will have to work at changing the belief systems that are holding you back, locking in your potential. Belief is a skill. It is something that you can learn. You came in with no beliefs. You were trained to have these beliefs. They're all learned, so that means that they are unlearnable. You can reshape your beliefs. You can unlock the prison doors. The greatest example of all, we've all heard it 100 times, but it's the greatest example because scientifically it was measured. Roger Bannister, 1954. Before Roger Bannister, an Englishman, for crying out loud. My last name's Hardy, I'm English. The idea of running a 4-minute mile does seem crazy. Everybody in the scientific community said it was impossible. It was dangerous. It would put too much stress on the organs, too much stress on the joints. Your heart could explode if you tried to break the 4-minute barrier. That was the commentary going into 1954. Roger Bannister did not allow that belief system to get installed. He did not believe it. In 1954, he ran, despite hundreds, thousands of people trying but not really believing. He broke the 4-minute mile. The most interesting part about this story is in the next 12 months, hundreds of people broke the 4-minute mile because the belief system was changed. Here's what was found out scientifically. Research psychology of performance validated there is a link between the mind and the body. What you think and believe will affect how you behave and perform, thus shape your entire life. All your behavior, all your choices, all your outcome, all your performance is entirely shaped by your belief system. Change your belief systems, you'll change the rest of the continuum. How do we do it? This is what I've come here to do. Help you uproot some of these limiting belief systems and install the positive belief systems you need to become a circle of champion and end up on this stage and change your life and change the relationships in your world. 4-step process. Your goal, your outcomes in life are nothing but compounded habits. How many people here have read the compound effect? Okay. If you haven't, read it. This is the thesis. Your habits are obviously just behavior. They're actions repeated over time. And that time compounds either a positive habit into a positive trajectory or a negative habit to a negative outcome. Now, behind behavior, we know, are choices. The choices that you make are the control center of your entire life. That activates this entire continuum. But here's why I'm here. I wrote that book to try to change people's lives. It changed a lot of lives. But there are a lot of people's lives it didn't change, and that pissed me off. Why do they keep making bad choices? Why? They know they need to make a better choice. They want to make a better choice. They desire a better choice. Why do they keep making bad choices? And then it's like splitting the atom. And then finding below that quarks, and then finding below that light and energy. And oh my God, that's the essence of this whole thing. Behind it all is belief. Whatever they believe is what's dictating their choices. Whether they want it or not, it continues to dictate their choices. So that's where we've got to go. We've got to take the tree from the roots and extract it and plant what it is that we want in that ground. So the first step is to identify what belief is holding you back. You can find it based on the goal that you want. What's the goal you want? Become a circle of champion. What do I have to believe about myself, about this company, about America, about my future in order to become a circle of champion? And then compare and contrast that. Well, this is what I need to believe, but oh shit, this is what I believe. So the first step is identification. So I had this built for you. You're the first to ever see this. Some of you have already done this. It's what's called a core belief assessment. And it will take you through 100 different questions, and it will vet out what might be the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So you can go and you can take that assessment for free. It's at darrenhardy.com/belief. darrenhardy.com/belief. And then it will send you a report that says, here's the height of the prison bars that might be holding you back in these areas. Here's number 2. Draw a line in the sand. This is it today. No more. I don't believe that about myself. I don't believe that about other people. I don't believe that about our future or about this economy anymore. This is the line in the sand. I used to believe X. Fine. Let's say the truth. Okay, yeah, you once believed something crappy about yourself. Fine. Draw the line. But now I'm getting better at blank every day. I used to say, I was saying it backstage, I used to be terrible at telling stories. Used to be terrible at telling stories, because for the longest time, I told myself I suck at telling stories. And what happens? I reinforce the fact that I suck at telling stories. So I draw a line in the sand and I say, I used to, but today I'm getting better and better every day. That's number 2. Make a decision. Number 3, you have to immerse yourself in the contradictory belief systems, the ones that you want to have, the ones that compel you to move forward. So how do you immerse yourself? Number 1 is information. Surround yourself with positive, abundant-minded, prosperity-based information. Saturate your mind with positive, instructional, informative information. You guys have got a brand new tool that is tremendous. I'm a little ticked off to tell you, this is essentially, we've spent $20 million building all the intellectual property that is what is success. And essentially, this deal gives you, it's almost like opening the doors to our Library of Congress, and everything's on the shelf. And you can take any book you want, any article, any video, any audio you want, and take it off the shelf and experience it like a Netflix online streaming program anytime you want. I'm not ticked off that you get access to it. I'm ticked off that it only costs you another $10 a month. And then your associations. The people that you are surrounded by will have the most indelible impact on your future belief systems. You have got to get around A-quality, high-class, high-minded, ambitious, productive people. Where do you find those people? Hey, it's a pretty good place right here. But when you go home, when you leave this warm bath, this wonderful community of people, you have to find other people to associate with because they will have a huge impact. Trust me, the associations you had in your past are the reason why you are the way you are right now. If you want to be anything different, you got to get around some different people to take you where you want to go. And then here's number 4. You have to act. You have to step forward. The definition of courage is, in the face of fear, do it anyway. It's not lack of fear. The important thing about courage is it's not a lack of fear. It's feel the fear and do it anyway. Whatever you're most afraid of, whatever your cave is, what I want to compel you to do starting Monday is get in front of as many caves as possible. Break down the fear barrier you've got about this cave, because I promise you, there isn't a cougar in that cave. Cougars were out of caves in urban society long ago. But the more you get in front of the cave and realize that there is no fear, there is no dangers, the more that the danger and fear will dissipate. So I want to give you the final act of this story about this wonderful little girl. Eventually, this little girl graduated college. She graduated with a degree in psychology, go figure. She ended up becoming a social worker. One night at a dinner party, she meets this woman named Leela. And Leela is in pharmaceutical sales. And Leela insists that she would be great at pharmaceutical sales as well. And she says, sales? No way, not for me. I could never do something like that. But Leela insists. She likes this new friend and doesn't want to disappoint her. So based on Leela's recommendation and referral, she interviews with a Fortune 50 company. She gets the job. She's immediately immersed into sales training and all sorts of personal development workshops. A lot of this personal development is what helps break some of these limiting belief systems that were installed in her past long ago. She starts excelling. She gets positive reinforcement from doctors that she calls on, from her bosses, from other colleagues that she admires and respects. In a short time, she's earning more money than all her 6 siblings combined. By age 28, she buys her own home. She has finally broken free of the previous belief systems that had held her back. She finally blossomed into the woman she was always capable of becoming. Thank God. A year later, it was May 7th, 2000, final chapter of this story. This little girl from Artesia, 5th in the line of 7, walks up to a guy leaning against a fountain at the plaza in Del Mar. She was wearing black pants and a silk black top. And her long, wild, curly hair was bouncing off her shoulders like I always dreamed. Her skin was tan from running in the springtime sun, and her eyes were the color of fire. She took my breath away. She was the most beautiful woman I had ever seen. She was the blind date I was there to meet. Her laugh was like music. Our one glass of wine rendezvous turned into two, and then dinner, and then dessert, and then coffee. And the conversation was easy and relaxed, and I was taken by her intelligence and her confidence. There was no way of knowing that many years long ago, some little boys had kicked her shins and made her feel unworthy. There was no way to know that while she had felt cared for all her life, she never really felt celebrated. There was no way to know because the woman sitting before me had made herself whole. It was at that dinner that I decided whatever it took, I was going to make this little girl turned into a beautiful woman my wife. And I would spend the rest of my days doing whatever it took to celebrate her. That little girl from Artesia, the one with the wild, unmanageable hair, is my wife, Georgia. Inside of you is your greater you. And sometimes it just takes one person to tell you that you are special, that you are capable, that you are worthy. I want to be that somebody. I want that someday to be right now, today. If you made it in this room, you are special. If you're attracted to this organization, if you got inside these walls today, I am telling you, you are special. There are 520 million people in North America who could have been here, but only you made it here. That does mean you are special. There is something inside of you. But I want you to hear this. Listen to me very carefully. I want you to hear this. I want these words to break down any limiting belief system, any limiting belief bars that are still holding you back. You are worthy. You are capable. You can do this. You will prevail. I believe in you. Thank you.